Yeah, I have in the past. If I get to a point where I get stuck on something, or I want to create a certain effect or a look that I necessarily don't know how to do, or don't have time to figure out, I may go, and I don't go to any particular one. I just, Google the problem and see, what comes up.
You are listening to Vector Maestro.
You are listening to Vector Maestros Episode 3, and this is DTM with VectorMaestros.com, with a great interview featuring David McLeod. A Vector Maestro is someone who can draw vector lines, manipulate anchors, create paths, and export a clean, crispy illustration, scalable to any size required. The Vector Maestros podcast are companions to the VectorMaestros.com website, where you will find links to vector illustration, resources, and tutorials spread all over the internet, including our dedicated YouTube channel, Flipboard magazine, blog, and monthly email tips and tricks. Our goal is to encourage anyone to explore their creativity and master the pen tool. We are proudly supported by Microsoft Surface, MICAtlanta, ArtistKing.org, and AzaleaCreativeGroup.com. In this Vector Maestro podcast, we bring you the insight and advice from another great illustrator, David McLeod of DM Design. You can find David's art online on social medias like Instagram and more under DM Design or FlavorDave72. Now on to our Vector Maestros podcast.
I'm Flavor Dave, and I'm originally from Raleigh, North Carolina, the capital city of North Carolina.
All right. And where does the word flavor come from? In your name?
Actually, a friend of mine in high school called me that. At that time, Public Enemy was popular, and the Flavor Flav thing. And I was a little animated, not really a class clown, but more of a little more outgoing, I guess. So my friend called me Flavor Dave.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. So the name outlasted your animation because you're kind of a chill back guy now.
Yeah. The older I've gotten, the more reserved I've gotten, the more conservative I've gotten. I don't know. I guess I just got lost in the Matrix somewhere, man.
that upbringing of coming up in Raleigh, is it stiff?
Probably would. Yeah. It's a very conservative. Even though it's capital city, man, it's a conservative small town. Compared to other major cities.
Is it the case where other cities in North Carolina are bigger than the capital?
Yeah, like Charlotte. Everything comes through Charlotte. You know what I mean? You have the major football team there. You have the NBA team there. You know what I mean?
But the capital is Raleigh, and
capital is Raleigh, and it ain't popping at all.
All right. So when you were growing up, what kind of art did you do?
I was mainly an illustrator, man. Pencils and colored pencils and markers. That was it, man. I really didn't mess with paint. I don't know why. My parents just never bought me paint. I guess they figured if I went to paint, then they'd have to start buying canvases and whatnot. Maybe they looked at the price of art material and decided, no, that ain't for him. Right. He don't stick to these 20-cent pencils.
Number two.
Number 2 pencils. That's it, man. So primarily just an illustrator, man, with pencils and markers and pens and whatnot.
Right. And what kind of stuff did you draw?
Oh man, like every artist, man, big comic book influence. My favorite character was Iron Man, actually. Okay. And I went to an art camp one summer. I was probably about 9, 10, and drew a big picture of Iron Man, man. I have no idea what happened to it, but it was pretty dope.
Like a big picture, big in a piece of paper, big or
it's probably about 32 by 24 or something like that, and it was a nice piece, man. But I don't know, someone must have stolen it or the art teacher kept it or something. I don't know what happened to it, but I was influenced by comic books, Batman, Superman, and all that. I loved it all, Marvel and DC.
Yeah. Batman's the best.
Nah.
Yeah, that's right.
I beg to differ, but it's all good.
So, growing up, what kind of art and artists inspired you to continue on to push you onto your art?
Oh man, I don't know. Going back to the comic books, I also loved Crack Magazine, Mad Magazine. I also collected those. I didn't really get into Heavy Metal Magazine until maybe I was 18, 19.
Yeah.
Collected a few of those, and always really, not necessarily for the stories. They had good stories and good comics in them, but I was looking at the artwork mainly. You know what I mean? And just looking, particularly heavy metal. They always had different artists with different styles of artwork. You know what I mean? Some looked like it was painterly. Others looked like it was straight vector work. Others looked like it was hand drawn. So I really loved that and just tried to pull from a lot of that what I saw, as opposed to comic books where pretty much across the board kind of looked the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Back then they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. And do you remember how you developed your art style? Did you try, or it just kind of popped on you?
Oh man, that's for me. I know my technique, but I really can't put my finger on my style. I guess other people can. They say they can tell my work, but I really don't know or what my signature style is or how to describe it. I'm sure I have one. But it's really hard.
It hasn't jumped down. It hasn't jumped up and
right. It hasn't. It hasn't jumped up at me.
Yeah.
So I really don't know, and I do so many different things. I go from painting to vector work. So and it doesn't look the same. At least not to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you do like layering when it comes to painting.
Yeah.
Your work.
I do. Pretty much, I like acrylic and color pastels on top of that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, when's the first time you heard about Illustrator? And do you remember when it was and what they say about it?
It had to be like the late 90s, man, when I went to art school. Maybe it was the first time I actually seen it. I may have heard about it maybe 2 or 3 years before that. And knew that it was a vector program, but I haven't been exposed to it until, like that late 90s, maybe 99, 98, 99, somewhere around there. And I remember my first experience with it. Had a class and whatnot. It was an art class and it was graphic design class. And it was just so hard for me to learn, So I remember that whole semester, man. Most people were doing their work in Illustrator. And I didn't know it yet, and I was fumbling around with it, man. So I did all my artwork like in Photoshop, which, some of you can do some of the same stuff, but it's kind of hard to kind of get the effects that it's a reason why they make Photoshop and Illustrator, because you can make some great artwork, but they don't necessarily do, some of the same things, But, after messing with it for a while, trying to learn it, I just gave up because it was just too difficult, man, and lately. And, after that, I just had to buckle down and learn it because I knew I needed to learn it. You know what I mean? I don't remember how long it took me to get a good grasp of it. I guess I'm still learning. The program is so extensive and there's always something new, man. You're never a master, a complete master.
The whole thing, right?
You know what I mean?
Right. There's a ton of menus.
It is.
There's a ton of menus and stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
So, do you remember your first illustration?
In Illustrator, it's probably something I did in class, for a class. It was probably a project I had where we had to design a beer can. I still have those beer cans, man. I think I did that in Illustrator. That was one of my first Illustrator projects. And it was pretty much a tight project, but you still had to illustrate like a beer can. And that's what we did. I think that's what I use as Illustrator.
Okay.
With that.
Yeah. All right. And so you came across Illustrator in school. You saw other people using it. How long did it take you to really get a good grasp of it? Was it short? Was it long? Was it difficult?
I'd probably say maybe a couple months, man. Just messing with it every single day. Because I was in school and that's what I had to do. So I was exposed to it every single day. So I don't remember exactly how long, but it probably took me a good couple months to really get comfortable with it. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I'd start a project and or try to start it in Illustrator, get to a point where I'm frustrated or I can't figure out how to do what I want to do. And back then, there wasn't a lot of resources and whatnot, specifically like to go online and see how to do stuff. So
no Google.
None of that was around, man. So you just had to learn your way around with it. And so a couple projects I remember, man, I'd start off in Illustrator, get frustrated with. It's like, damn, I'm going back to Photoshop. Let me just do this in Photoshop because it's easier. You know what I mean? Because even before I had Photoshop, I had Corel Paint.
Okay.
So I kind of grew up on that. And so when I switched over to Photoshop, it was a little, I was already familiar with it for the most part. That was a little easier to learn, man. But after a while, I just had to, just stop reverting back to Photoshop each and every time, and I just had to learn Illustrator because it was necessary.
Okay. Was there a part in the Illustrator that was harder than to learn a specific tool or a process?
Not really a specific tool that I can remember. Some of the tools are a little more difficult to understand than others, and some tools that, frankly, I don't even use. I guess that may lend more toward the style of work that I do, because I always like the clean lines of Illustrator, and that's why I wanted to learn it. So I just stick to a little handful of tools that I know very well, man, and some of the new stuff that has come out and some of the other features and whatnot. I may dabble with it a little bit, but I really haven't incorporated it into my artwork.
And if you don't need it and you have a process that works for you, I mean, that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. So, what kind of equipment do you use and why?
I got my first Mac in 02.
Okay.
01, 02, something like that. Man, I've been a Mac person, Apple person ever since.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I always say once you go Mac, you don't go back. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
Because it's just so intuitive, at least for me. It's so simple. People who use PCs all day and the first time they get on the Mac, they can't figure it out. But for me, it was just natural. I guess it was made for artists, I suppose.
That's right. Yeah, it was for creative people.
Now I can't find my way around a PC. I hate them because they're too difficult. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I need 1 or 2 clicks to go where I need to go. That's it. I don't need 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I
got you. What version of the software are you in right now? Are you in the cloud or are you with Creative Suite?
I'm not with either one, man. I'm working with an older version. What, 11, 12, something like that, man. I want to upgrade to the cloud, and I've looked at the prices and whatnot. But I'm just trying to figure out is it worth me paying the money? You know what I mean? Should I just keep rocking with what I'm used to now and what I like, or do I necessarily need to pay, for the continuous upgrades and updates? It would be nice. We should all learn and grow, man. But part of me, I'm still traditional, man. Some things I'll go out and venture. Other things, man, I like to stick with what I know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially if it works for me. But
if it works, why not?
But there is a point to which you all need to upgrade because you'll get so far behind, or at least I feel that way. Then you don't need to put yourself in a position where you're just too far behind and can't catch up. What I mean?
Yeah. And really, sometimes depending on your machine, how long you had it, it works better with certain software. Just do your thing. So, what's your process like? Do you like to sketch out on paper and then bring it into Illustrator? Do you like to draw right onto Illustrator?
It's about half and half. If I know in my mind, if I can, because primarily I do logos in Illustrator now. And if I can see it in my mind, then a lot of times I'll go straight to Illustrator. But if it's like a problem that I need to kind of work out first, I'll sketch it out first, kind of work out that problem, whether it's a composition problem or shapes or something like that, or just just placement. I'll try to work that out in a sketch first, and then scan it into Illustrator, or even take a photo of it and use it as a base layer and work on top of that. So it's about half and half. Just depends on what the project is.
Right. And so then, do you go online and look up blogs or tutorials every now and then? Do you have any preference for where you go?
Yeah, I have in the past. If I get to a point where I get stuck on something, or I want to create a certain effect or a look that I necessarily don't know how to do, or don't have time to figure out, I may go, and I don't go to any particular one. I just, Google the problem and see, what comes up and just.
Somebody solved it.
Yeah, somebody solved it somewhere already. You know what I mean?
Yeah, somebody already did it.
Find the best way to solve it and just go from there.
Right.
But yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because that's how I do, man. Whatever news, every version of Illustrator is going to have some kind of tweaks and so on. Mm-hmm. And then there's always somebody already explaining the tweaks and how you can do something with that.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
so yeah, it's out there. It's out there. So what you mentioned, you do logos in Illustrator, but what do you do for your own personal art in Illustrator? Is there something specific?
Man, not really.
You don't use it for your own pleasure. You use it for work when you got clients.
I may, illustrate like a photo or something of myself just to kind of keep some skills up, or just keep boredom from creeping in. Mm-hmm. Or if I don't, in between projects, or if I feel like I need to practice or something, I'll just take, a photo of somebody's face or a car or something, and just go in Illustrator and recreate it. That's pretty much it, man. 95% of the work I do in Illustrator is for a client. I don't do a whole lot of stuff for myself, man. I wish I had the time to do so. And another thing, sometimes, man, I'll have an idea for a piece and I don't know whether or not to try to paint it or put it in Illustrator, which would look better. You know what I mean? With that particular image. Yeah. Sometimes I have a dilemma with that, man. 'Cause I have actually several pieces at the house where I have a digital version and a painted version. Yes. And I just don't know, which would be the best look for that particular piece.
I do them sometimes, just both of them, just to see.
Do both?
Yeah. Because it's a whole different experience anyways.
It is.
It is. So just do it, man. Where can we find you online? What are your social links?
Instagram at FlavorDave72. Facebook at FlavorDave or David McLeod. What else am I on?
I found a Facebook page that said The Art of Flavor Dave. What was that? The Art of something.
I don't think that's me.
That's not you? Let me see.
Must be one of these imposters out here.
No, I was thinking of somebody else. What did I look up?
Yeah, it must be someone else.
The Art of... are you sure?
I do have a...
Bro, Flavor Dave Brand Art.
Yeah, Flavor Dave Brand Art. That's me.
Yeah, that's what it was.
On Facebook.
Yeah.
And cool. FlavorDave.biz, DavidMcLeod.biz. What else am I on?
All over the interwebs.
Make sure you spell out your last name.
All over the internets.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And at David McLeod, that is MCLEOD.
Right. Very cool. Awesome.
So, high-paying clients out there.
So the last question is asking you for advice or words of wisdom for up and coming illustrators. What should they keep in mind?
Oh man, just keep playing with it, keep working with it, because that's the only way you're gonna learn is hands on. You can only watch so many tutorials and whatnot, and but the real deal is to just do it, try it, fail, fall down, get back on it.
This was your Vector Maestros podcast. Tune in to YouTube for free tutorials and tips on Adobe Illustrator. Follow us on Facebook and check out the Vector Maestros online course to master the pen tool at vectormaestros.com. Until next time, this is DTM at vectormaestros.com.